Hey guys, I just wanted to take a minute before you watch this interview to let you know we had some technical issues that happened about halfway through it, and we ended up losing half the group throughout the interview. But don't worry, they're still there, they're still talking. But I just wanted to let you know that that's what happened, and we can't always know what's going to happen with technology. But either way, this is a great interview with a fantastic group. So stick around and hear what we have to talk about with Phillips and Banks. Thanks. Hey there, Absolutely Gospel fans and readers and viewers and everybody in between. We are so excited to be here this week with this great new group that you may have heard of. And if you haven't, then this is an opportunity to reach out and find out how you can hear them. It's Phillips and Banks. How are you guys doing today?
We're
Doing
good.
great, man.
Hello.
Awesome. So like I said, you guys are kind of an up and coming group. Making some waves in the industry. And so just take a moment, introduce yourselves and tell us how the group started, where you're based out of, that kind of thing.
Okay, my name is Jacob Phillips, and this is my wife, Carmen Phillips. And Caleb, do you want to introduce yourself?
I guess. I'm Caleb Banks, and this is my wife, Autumn Banks. So hello.
We're two married couples. Yeah.
Yeah. Phillips and Banks, right.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
That makes sense. Makes complete sense. So how did you guys get started? Where did the two couples form, and how did you meet, and how did you decide you wanted to do this ministry thing together?
How long is this program, Chris? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Go ahead, Jacob. Tell him, brother.
Well, we've known each other for quite a while. I think we've probably known Autumn for, I guess, almost 10 years now, maybe something like that.
Longer than that, probably.
Oh, sorry. But we all used to work for a live Christian theater. Jacob and I started working there, doing performing, but also just the day job kind of things, the theater management, production, stuff like that. And then Autumn came as a summer intern one summer, and she stayed in our home for the summer, and then she didn't leave for 4 years. So
Sorry about that.
She became like family to us. And then Caleb, we met Caleb. He came to the theater later, and they got married. And then when the Lord starts stirring to move on or move to something different, we knew it was time to leave that ministry, but we didn't know what we were going to do. So we just began to pray and seek the Lord, and then he started opening up opportunities. I mean, a pastor saw us singing at a friend's funeral, and
it's kind of a strange start.
I know, from a funeral. We sang for a close friend's funeral, and the pastor came and said, "I bet you got a little more time on your hands." And Jacob was like, "Well, actually, yeah, we got a lot of time on our hands." He was mowing yards and doing whatever, and then he said, "Well, would you come to our church?" And so from there, honestly, I really don't. It's kind of a whirlwind, where that was almost 5 years ago in October. And
so I mean, where we were at that theater for so long, and we had performed for so many years there in different productions, a lot of the local people in our area, we're from Bristol, upper East Tennessee. And so a lot of people in our area knew who we were, not as Phillips and Banks, of course, because that didn't exist, but they knew who we were individually from the theater. And so once we took a couple bookings, we didn't have a name, we didn't have a sound system, we didn't have a trailer, we didn't have songs.
We were coming up with songs to sing.
We didn't have anything, but people were calling us because they knew we weren't working at the theater anymore. They were calling us, and I started to fill up a calendar, and I was like, well, maybe this is what the Lord is really wanting us to do. And we felt pretty strongly about it. And like Carmen said, that was 5 years ago. And God has really began to open up a lot of doors for us, traveling outside of the local area now to several states on the East Coast. And like I said, God's been really, really good to us. We're very thankful.
That's awesome. How would you guys describe maybe your sound if somebody was to say Phillips and Banks sounds like blank, or they get their influence from blank? where would you put you guys in that scale, or in that in those kind of descriptions?
Well,
We call ourselves progressive Southern gospel. I don't know if that's true or not. We have a little bit of a lot of things, I guess, in our music. But we're inspired, I think, a lot in the past by the Martins and the Isaacs, and so we like to do like the a cappella songs and things that they have done. We try our best to try to do that.
yeah, I hope when people, I hope when people listen to us, they can say that, oh, they sound good, not, but Joseph Habedank's also been a big influence in our ministry, I think, as far as the music goes. Joseph is just an incredible vocalist, but he's also a great songwriter, and that's what we're really all about. We love lyrics to songs. I mean, it's not just about the style of music for us. Yeah, it's not just about what it sounds like, but it's about the message that the song is bringing out, for sure.
It doesn't have meaty lyrics. It's hard to sing with passion when there's not much there to be passionate about.
Right. Tell me a little bit. So you guys, you started out, just singing at a funeral, right? So obviously you probably started out singing a lot of other people's songs, right?
Yeah.
Does anybody in the group do any writing on their own? I know you said you like meaty lyrics. Is that a goal? Does anybody do that for your group?
Well, yeah. Autumn, but when we first started out, it's funny. Well, I'll let Carmen tell the story. The very first song that was actually wrote out in this group, Chris, that we put to radio, it was kind of like, it was just our stepping out song, honestly, is the way I look at it. And every time we sing it, I still think, man, this is where we are. This is where God brought us from, but I'll let Carmen tell about that. But it's so funny. The three of them can write, and I'll put in a couple words here and there. So,
but hey,
but it's, yeah.
Some of those words might be important words, so it's okay. Everybody's got
Autumn says that, but I think it's just to make me feel better. You know what I mean?
No, that first song I told the Lord when we started this, I was like, okay, Lord, if you're making us do this, if this is your doing, and obviously you're opening up the opportunities to do it, then you're going to have to give us some music. Like, you have to give us some songs, something. I've never written a song in my life. I don't know how. I don't know. I just, you're going to have to give it to me. So we were on our way to Pennsylvania to sing at a church that we had been associated with before. And I was sitting in the back seat, and the Lord had brought a scripture to my heart weeks prior to that about the children of Israel and how they got stuck in the wilderness because they were at this crossroads. God said, okay, it's time to go to the promised land, but they were afraid. They sent in the spies. They were unsure. They, and they came back, and the people were divided. They were like, I don't know. Is God big enough? Their unbelief and their almost disobedience. They did try to obey afterwards, but it was a little too late. But at that moment, got them shut out of the promised land. They had to wander around the wilderness 40 more years. And I was like, oh gosh, if we're in a wilderness, this is what it feels like. It's what it felt like when we were there. We were in the wilderness. We didn't know where we were going to go or what the next step was going to be. I was like, just don't let us get stuck here. That's all I care about. I don't care where you take us. I don't care what you ask. Just don't let us get stuck here and miss what you want for us. So I was in that car in the back seat, and I was like, I think I brought the song to them earlier, and I was like, okay, the chorus, I think there's a song, and it goes like this, and I started singing it, and they were looking at me kind of like, I was like, oh no,
did I miss it? Right.
This came from God, Yeah.
I kept on. It was just like that trip up there. It's just like the words started coming, and I was like, okay, I think I have a song. And so anyway, that song kind of became who we were at that moment. You know, I don't want to get stuck in the wilderness. You know, I don't want to miss the promises, the blessing, all of the things, the stepping with the Lord, just because I'm afraid, or that I don't know if I can trust him.
And it was at a time where we really needed to be obedient to God's
Yeah.
call. You know, we were at a place where, like she said, we were just at a crossroads, and all four of us were at a crossroads in our lives and in our ministry. And like she said, we didn't know what the next step was, but we are living testaments that when you're obedient to God, he will bless you, and he will take care of you no matter where you go or what you do or what he leads you to do. He will take care of you. You know, a lot of people say, you know, if you want to get rich, don't get into ministry. and while that's true in some ways, but I have never, it's like, you know, it brings to mind one of Joseph's songs. I've never seen the righteous forsaken, which is of course scripture, but God has never forsaken us. He's never not paid our bills, not taken care of us. He provides every step of the way. So God has been really, really good to us and faithful. And we are on a journey of faith. I mean, we're still new at this. We're still green at it. We don't know what we're doing all the time, but God is really walking step in step with us, and we're thankful for that.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you, if anybody says they have it all together and they know what they're doing, they're lying to your face, because nobody has it all together. They're all trying to make it, you know, make it work. Actually, yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's funny, you know, Jacob and Carmen, it's kind of crazy how God set it all up. You were talking about writing. The very first project we did, Jacob and Carmen and Autumn threw in on some of the words of that. And then we had another friend of ours who wrote a song. Just kind of, it was wild how it all came together. Well, then 2020, like you were talking about, before COVID and all that stuff, I mean, things were starting to kind of get crazy. So obviously, my wife is not about getting around sickness and stuff like that. Autumn's like, okay, I'll be right here in my house when everything's done. But we started to do the project This Is Your Day, and all of a sudden we're getting geared up, finding songs, and like Jacob was sharing, we had a few come from Joseph Habedank, and Lindsay actually, she co-wrote a song on it, Joseph's wife. And so all these songs were coming about, and then Autumn just pops up one day and says, hey, I wrote a song. I don't know if it's any good, but would you all care to look at it? So we're reading these lyrics, and here I am I thought, man, this is like ridiculous. Where did this come from? you know? And so two of the songs on this last project, This Is Your Day, she wrote those. And so it's kind of crazy. The Lord just kind of sends it the way he wants to, for whatever's going on in our lives, it seems like at the time. And it's just been that part of it's been a cool journey. So like you said, yeah, we're kind of looking forward to when we start. We just got done with the hymns project, so hopefully we'll breathe for a second and then jump into something. But it's just kind of what's going on in your life, your story. You're telling what's happening. So, and you'll hear that if you've not listened to the project. If you hear "Glorify His Name," it's got beautiful orchestration, and it's just a beautiful, like, worshipful song. But then she wrote another song that I thought was like a curveball, if you know Autumn, called "The Fight." We didn't know what else to call it, because when you turn it on, it's like, Stevie Wonder jumped on there and started playing the, keys or whatever. So, but it's so cool because that song became one of my anthems. It's the fight. I'm not going to give it up no matter whatever we're going through. I'm not going to give up the fight. So it was just really cool how the Lord brought all those things about, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome to hear, and I love to hear how God continues to not just call you, but he continues to move you in a direction he wants to move you in, right? So he's called you, now he's equipping you, right? And from there it's going to get even better. And so that's so exciting to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been the coolest journey I've ever been on in my life.
Well, you mentioned COVID, so this has kind of been an issue that, of course, we've been talking about with everybody, right? Because everybody walks through this together. This is not anything that a single person didn't have to go through, for a couple of years. And so I always like to talk about where they were and then where they're at as they're walking, past what it was. I know it's still here. Obviously, we're still dealing. I just dealt with COVID myself, but as a whole, as our industry is coming out of what was a pretty dark couple years because of it, I like to just find out where you guys are headed through that. So tell me about you guys were about to bust out into the scene in 2020, and then everything shut down, right? So just tell me like what these last 2 years have been for you, and then how you see yourself walking out of it.
Well, I think, March and April of 2020, when everything just kind of, completely shut down. I mean, our schedules were just wiped clean in March and April, which, I think pretty much everybody was in that position. And then, we would go and do online things for churches, like, Zoom concerts and stuff like that. We were doing those a little bit, and there was some, we still had a lot of cancellations throughout the rest of the year. And then in 2021, and honestly, things started coming back last year in 21, and then it's been even better this year. And so I really feel like we're, at least we understand it a little bit better. We know how to handle it a little bit better. And I mean, all four of us have had it, some of us multiple times. And, it's just one of those things that you kind of have to deal with as it comes. But one thing, I can't speak for everybody else in our industry or even everybody else in our group, but I think one thing that I learned through COVID was just really how fragile life, not just like life and death, but like the life of our society is just so fragile. And like even church life, God's not fragile. I mean, God is strong and God is faithful, but his followers sometimes our health and our bodies and all those things are very, very fragile. And I learned through all that, I think, not it's a sacred thing. Like our bodies and are the temple of God, and it's a sacred, holy thing, and that we should take care of it. We should take care of our bodies. And I think I learned more than anything that that we're not promised tomorrow. I saw so many folks that were much younger than even me, pass away, and it was just a really sad time. It was a really dark time. But I think coming out of it, we have the opportunity to lead with hope, that in Jesus, there is hope coming out of tragedy. There's hope coming out of despair and depression and all those things that we went through for those 2 years. We can be on the front lines telling people, hey, we serve a God that is greater than anything that comes against us. And that's what I'm excited about, is that we get to lead that way. It was really tough, but I'm excited to tell people that there's hope.
That's awesome.
I was amazed that I guess, you think I shouldn't be amazed at God's faithfulness when it's constant. It's over and over teaching me again and again how faithful he is. But even in that year, even when, much of what we were doing was part of our, our livelihood, God never missed any of it. He was always faithful and provided, and through weird ways, whatever it may have been, but he was faithful through it all. So
Amen.
That's great. Well, hey, before we go, I just want to make sure that everybody can find out where they can contact you, where they can buy your product, where they can hear your music.
Yeah, check us out. We have a website, phillipsandbanks.com. You can listen to the music there, and it'll direct you to places you can buy it. We're getting ready to launch a new website, so when you go there next time, it might look different, and you can buy our music from the website. But right now, if you want to buy a CD or something, you go to our Facebook page, Phillips and Banks, and it's in our shop tab right now. But you can find out all about us on the website, or you can come follow us on social media and get to know us a little better that way.
We are available. Our music is available on all the streaming platforms as well. So if you're like me and CDs are just not your thing, because I would lose them all, but it's all on your phone. You can do Spotify or Apple Music, you know what you're doing. So, the streaming services, they're all on there, and please help support the music. It really does mean a lot to us when people say, hey, I listened to your song and it meant a lot to me. I mean, that gives us encouragement to keep doing what we're doing. And so please, go check us out and come see us sometime. We'd love to see you.
Yeah, and absolutely. And more than anything, if they go see you in concert, buy something at the table, whether it's a t-shirt or a hat or something. That's what's going to help you guys, right? So that's what I always like to encourage people. I don't care what you buy, just buy something, right? So, so we want to make sure that you guys can stay afloat, right? So, well, hey, listen, guys, this has been fantastic. I've loved getting to know you guys. Everybody needs to be listening for Phillips and Banks because these guys are making some waves, and we're excited to get to feature them on the site. So, thank you guys so much for being with us, and we'll talk to you later.
All right.
Thank
bye.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.